Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're heading to Switzerland, and you might be wondering what's new about that. You've made 42 videos of you going to Switzerland and checking prices and stuff like that, but today we have a job interview. Which is interesting, even though I'm not very convinced that he got it for me. A friend who works around there. The salary is good anyway, and it's worth trying to explore every possibility. I'm also waiting for other job opportunities. I've had several interviews. Let's see who will respond. I prefer to all the others, but he hasn't answered me yet. But we say never. Sometimes things just happen by mistake or completely randomly, so it's worth a try. It's worth doing the interview, even if it's not really an interview, but whatever. And they say no, and amen, that's how it ended. Guys, it feels like this will be the only time I'll see snow this year. It's tough. We're at a rest area. We had a little lunch. Sandwich and Coca-Cola for 12 euros. Not bad, actually. It's a damn sandwich. Not. Which is what it costs in Italy for the tolls. And here we are in Switzerland. Damn. I mean, we're heading to the Zurich area. To see that job there, that place over there. Oh, you judge for yourselves. Look at this spectacle. The view is beautiful. We've arrived, guys, at the golf club. There are people playing, and theoretically, I should be working here. It's just this restaurant. Now it's just talking. This is a small bar, and then we'll see in a moment how the situation is moving. Honestly, I'm a bit overwhelmed because I need to do the shopping. I really need to manage. I don't know anything about German, but you have to take risks in life. Otherwise, you can't move forward from where you already are. Look at how cool the elephant is. Yes, it's an elephant. On top of a ball, like an elephant at the circus. Beautiful and nice. Then right now, there's a total lack of visibility. You can't see anything. Summer must be really beautiful. Let's go see where I should theoretically do the shopping. Part of it I would do myself. Let's go inside a bit. Well, in a nutshell, we took a little tour of the store itself. It's nothing but a metro, a gigantic wholesale place where you can find everything you need for catering. And no, because pay attention, this place is not just, it's really absurdly big. You can get lost in here and never come out while looking at the various things and products. From ice creams, to meats, to vegetables, everything you can think of and imagine. There was in here. And the prices were actually quite good for being in Switzerland, on the German side, near Zurich. I filled up with gas at 1.76, since we're near Zurich, in Switzerland, 1.76 per liter, 30 euros, 17 liters. So guys, you can't see a damn thing, but you have to make do because it's dark. It's practically 7 o'clock. We have about 2 hours of driving. And in the meantime, Andrea, my friend, we go to school together. Hi everyone, he's been living and working in Switzerland for
7 years now.
7 years. Did you work in Italy before?
Yes. I worked in Milan. Rimini, Riccione, Cesena, Polivigno.
All of them, you've basically turned around the most famous ones. Let's take a moment. What do you think about why to come here or why not to come here?
I mean, the reasons. A general discussion. What do you think? So in my opinion, the pros and cons. Let's start with the pros. The pros compared to Italy are definitely at a general level. Not just for the job that I came here for. So the hospitality sector definitely values young people. They value people. So if there's someone who wants to work, is eager to put in the effort, believes in themselves, and is willing to challenge themselves, definitely it's best destination to aim for, because in general Switzerland gives you a lot, but it also expects a lot. So someone who wants to work and is willing to take a chance will have opportunities and open paths at most, but on the other hand reflects a downside, which is that they give you a lot of freedom, a lot of trust, a lot of opportunities, but you mustn't betray that trust, because they can quickly do a classic spin-off. So giving you everything to taking it all away and sending you home, they find 5,000. So you need to be someone who has continuity in their work, a continuity also in what is being sold. What is generally said is that it's very rigid. Switzerland is very structured, so they are very, very, very rigid.
Is it all? Does it depend on the canton?
So it generally depends mostly on the cantons of German-speaking Switzerland. the neighbor, let's say, is always part of what is Switzerland, but it's a canton that, compared to the canton of Switzerland, like the canton Zurich, you see huge differences, even if it's just the system. The system in Zurich, in the canton of Zurich, is much faster, much more immediate, much more Swiss German. Here they still speak German. The main language is German, but more Swiss German, which is the German dialect, so the one from the valleys here in German-speaking Switzerland. And also the people are very different from canton to canton, especially between Ticino and Zurich. Keeping this comparison with Ticino in mind, being close to Italy and being very frequented by Italians, it has felt a lot of influence compared to the canton. In Zurich, people in Zurich are very cold, completely different from the Italian mentality. In the nearby Ticino, let's call it that, considering those who might move to a country like, always keeping it as a comparison, Zurich, compared to a destination like Milan, obviously one has to be ready to leave everything behind. So to take off and start fresh, putting yourself out there, leaving family, friends, you're on your own initially, so you have to start from scratch. In a country anyway, leaving to then always be there, going back and forth, weighing things on the scale. How much is the sacrifice worth in terms of money? You come back every week, you go out like friends do, as you said before, because you get back into that classic mood of being around 2 days a week. In the end, you go out 1, 2, or you go out both days. You end up spending a ton of money on trips, outings, and everything else while trying to save up by going away for work. Why is it not hidden that people also come to Switzerland, especially German-speaking Switzerland, to earn more wages? German-speaking Switzerland, it's very high. Going back every week on your days off doesn't even give you the chance to integrate into the local life where you're working. Because if you do the math, you work about 5 days a week and maybe go out little, you don't have the chance in those 2 free days explore and get to know, to integrate, to meet people.
It's a beautiful tree in Italy.
Yes, Switzerland is very beautiful. Of course, if an Italian thinks they will find themselves in Italy here in Switzerland, no.
Maybe in the neighboring area, but even there's a catch. Strong in many quotes.
In the neighboring area, yes. In Ticino, yes, there are those who say, in my opinion, the comparison, or anyway, the best advice that Italians can give to those who want to come to Switzerland in general, if you want to integrate, if you want to live the real Switzerland, keep in mind that when you pass through customs, take off your Italian hat, the Swiss hat even in Ticino, because you can't act like an Italian in Switzerland when you're always in Switzerland.
Ticino is a bit, let's say, definitely considered by German-speaking Swiss as Italianized and the ruin of Switzerland. I mean, those from Zurich or those from German-speaking Switzerland don't consider Ticino to be part of Switzerland because it's too Italianized, something that doesn't exist for them since they are more rigid. So you have to take this into account if you want to come here. They are colder and more rigid. But once you get to know them, they open up. But it takes time, of course. You have to integrate. They shouldn't have to meet you halfway, which is how it should be everywhere. So it's difficult without the language. German is necessary. Even now, we went to check out a job and we spoke in English with a person who is also not German. I mean, not Swiss, but he came here too, so we managed with English. But if you go to work in a German-speaking place, knowing German helps a lot. And if you think you can come here and not learn anything and just speak Italian, that's impossible. We even just went to a supermarket, we saw some names. Good or bad, you have to remember them. Keep in mind that if you want to move here or come here for work, you need a course in German or French if you're going to the Valais area. On the other side, every day is like someone going to Spain and not learning Spanish. It's impossible.
Here, in terms of safety and crime, it's really very low. Here, what prevails is control and security. And excessive speed over the limit is punished very severely, but you can also get fines of 5, 10, 20 or even 30,000 francs with possibly serious violations. For example, the state of impairment of drunk people driving, even crossing limits and causing accidents. There are even criminal charges. Psychologists are there. It's a really sensitive issue. What it is, driving under alcohol or drug effects, anything like that, they are very strict about that. They don't compromise on anything. As it should be, in my opinion. As it should be, of course.
So, do you think Ticino is better in terms of language? Keep in mind that salaries are lower, yes, and things cost a bit less. But still, in proportion, the salaries are lower. And then another thing. Many try to be clever, so even in Ticino you should find, in my opinion, Swiss people for a first job, absolutely, but also in German-speaking Switzerland. been in German-speaking Switzerland.
Then there's always the exception. You shouldn't generalize too much, that's well known, but Swiss German, the employer is Swiss German, whatever it is, values the employee.
Then there are always those who wouldn't choose a canton that you would, without considering that you've been here for a long time.
So now, based on my experience, I can recommend Zurich because I've lived it fully.
Sorry guys if I interrupt, but the microphone had abandoned us. Anyway, Andre wanted to say that he recommends the canton of Zurich because he has really lived it. Have you seen what the situation is like? How's life? So he recommends it as a canton. To start with, it allows for a bit of a trial compared to the others. This canton has a higher salary and also some benefits, especially if you own cars and things like that, like, for example, the super tax that doesn't exist. The road tax is very, very low. Besides that, he says that the owner, the employer from the Zurich area, anyway, they respect the employee much more and value them. I remember that he worked for 7 years in the hotel industry. He started as a cook, then he also moved into restaurant management. And now he has changed because he wanted to try something new. And now he works in real estate. But anyway, do you like the restaurant industry? So if you are cooks or if you want to work at the beginning of the restaurant sector, these things are very relevant. I mean, these aren't just made up nonsense. Then I added that there is a huge demand for what is the restaurant sector. They're looking for a lot of cooks and a lot of waiters. Of course, you're at an advantage. If you know the German language, why is that? Because the typical Italian from the Visera doesn't do this job. This job is seen as a low-level thing. But the things that are considered low-level can be opportunities for others, especially for those coming from another country in search of improvement. The conversation then went on for about another 20 minutes. But I'll summarize it quickly for you, also because the sound quality is really bad. There's a lot of ground noise. Andre says it's an average, slightly below average salary that allows you to get by. Yes, clearly without going out to dinner every night, without having 3,000 euros for a car lease, without having 2,500 euros for housing anyway, let's say, settling for less at the beginning. To start, especially 4,500, 1,000, 4,000. Net earnings can be more than enough, especially if you're careful and save. A little bit from there, and you can also set aside a little or even a lot. It depends on how much you earn. Good job. This clearly refers to the restaurant sector, but each sector is different. So making an average is very, very difficult. There are tons of websites out there, but I recommend you trust, especially those that end with .ch, which are the official Swiss ones, that allow you to calculate or get an average idea of your salary in Switzerland. So take a look around, if I'm not mistaken. One is called comparis.ch. So, take a look around, if I'm not mistaken. One is called comparis.ch. And there you can see various things, including insurance, salaries, etc. And it can be very useful for you. Besides that, I added that, of course, like in every country, you have to take the plunge, give it a try, and see how it goes. If things go badly, you can always go back to Italy. But if you just stay in Italy complaining about all the things that are wrong, and nothing is done to change either the country or one's own country, you'll just keep complaining forever without any improvement. It's very difficult for an entire country like Italy to change overnight, but you could change your situation by trying to change countries. Whether it's Switzerland, Canada, France, or Germany, it doesn't really matter what the country is. If you're really complaining all the time and you're not happy where you are, it's worth trying to make a change. There's always time to go back, especially if you have Italian documents, so you don't lose anything except a little time. But it's definitely not time wasted, because it's time invested to have growth, personal growth, and especially to see other places and other countries. As for money, if things go badly, if you found a job in the meantime, you only gained money if you lost money. Guys, every trip costs, every experience costs. See it this way. It's an investment in personal growth. Hi, it was a pleasure. Okay, guys, we're at a gas station. We moved on. We're heading back to Italy. We had this interview. The place is quite nice. I showed it to you. In terms of salary, it pays well as an initial salary, and then there are the tips. We're talking about 4 or 5 gross. Becomes 3,800 net plus 500 in tips. If I work the 6th day, it's another 800 euros a month, so 200, 250, 25 euros an hour. In short, it's not mandatory, so it's 5 days. The work hours are about 8 to 9 hours. I come back alone, but I come back in pieces with an hour or 2 of break. 5 days a week, so I also have time to go back home. The person seems nice. I don't know, I need to think it over because I'm also waiting for a response from another job. Let's see for a moment. I'll think about it. It's definitely appealing that I have a friend who can also give me a room. I pay 400 francs, which is very little. I assure you it's not bad at all. The area is a bit empty because it's not the center city. But I've seen worse. Anyway, there are beautiful views and things like that. I don't know. I need to think about it very carefully. I have 3 days to give an answer, but I don't know. I'm really undecided. Honestly, I like the proposal. It intrigues me. As a starting point, there's Andre too. He's been working here for 7 years, and he also thinks it's a good starting salary. Let's see. All right, guys, the day has come to an end. I just left Andre. Now I'm heading towards customs. I'm going back to Italy. There's still about 40 minutes of driving, but other than that, everything's fine. Let's say productive work environment. The workplace is nice. The person seems friendly and everything. I have some doubts about my abilities, but on the other hand, we tend to underestimate ourselves. Things get done by taking risks, making do, and working a bit hard. But things get done. The important thing is to want to do it. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Please make sure to like it. It doesn't cost you anything, and it doesn't help you much. It's a lot of work and sacrifice. So I like it, share it, subscribe, and see you next time.